Hello everyone, Jeffrey Shue here, and today we are going to be talking about the Raptors versus the Brooklyn Nets last night. It was a really fun game to watch, definitely a big roller coaster. I really enjoyed watching it, and let's get into it. So my buddy, he kind of told me that he wants to see some more statistics, and I keep saying that I'm not a statistic type of guy, but he wants more statistics, so now I gotta contradict myself and show you guys some statistics. So we have here as the Toronto Raptors. This is the type of shots that they took. It's quite amazing. I didn't know that NBA had all these stuff to see, but NBA.com is quite amazing, guys. So you can see Raptors really operate in the three-point line and the paint area, not much in the mid-range area, and you can see Brooklyn Nets is pretty much the same thing. They really operate in the three-point line and the paint area, not much in the mid-range. But, who does operate in the mid-range? Mr. Kevin Durant. And he took a bunch of shots in the mid-range and made them all. Or not, he didn't make them all, but he made a bunch. Now, over here we have the lead tracker. So Toronto was, up for most of the first quarter. And then at the end of the first quarter, we were down. And then in the second quarter, we were basically down the whole way until, Brooklyn Nets kind of, steamrolled ahead into the third quarter, right? They were up by as much as their biggest lead was 13. They were up by 13 at the end of the third quarter, at the end of the second quarter. Now, in the beginning of the third quarter, they caught up, and you can see halfway, and then just past the halfway mark, the Raptors started to take the lead. And then they steamrolled, kept going out with that run, and by the end of the third quarter, we were up by 11 at one point, and then it went to 9. So going into the fourth quarter, we're up by 9. Halfway through the fourth quarter, we're down by 1. So this game was freaking roller coaster heavy, right? It's got a nice sine graph to it, or a cosine graph to it. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, bro. It was really fun to watch. And then, three quarters ways down the fourth quarter, we're down by 6. And then last minute, we were up by 3, right? Last minute and 17 seconds, we're up by 3. And then finally, when the fourth quarter is done, we go to overtime. Oh, my God. I mean, we're up by 3, and now we go to overtime. Oh, my God. It was terrible. And then in overtime, we were up by, for the first 30 seconds to a minute, and then we just kind of were down from then. We kept it very close. You can see they were never past more than 5 points in the OT, so it was still a very close game. Definitely a very epic battle to watch. Here's the team comparison statistics. So Toronto Raptors versus Brooklyn Nets. We got 129 points. They got 131. We have 41 rebounds. They got 60. We got 26 assists. They got 28. We got 6 steals. They got 7. We got 6 blocks. They got 5. And 12 turnovers versus their 16, 45.7 field goal percentage versus their 48.5, 34.6 3-point percentage versus their 35.9, 78.9 free throw percentage versus their 73.9. Over here, points in the paint, Toronto got 50. Brooklyn Nets got 58. Second chance opportunities were 15 versus 25. And then fast breakout points were 26 versus 24. Here's our leading players. Fred VanVleet and Kevin Durant were the main scorers. Rebounds, it was Scottie Barnes and Kevin Durant. In terms of assists, we got Fred VanVleet and Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant just everywhere. And then blocks, Yuta Watanabe, he got 3. And then David Duke Jr. Let's get into the player stats here. So, Scottie Barnes, he's got a nice 12 rebounds, 23 points, 5 assists. Pascal Siakam, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 25 points. 9 rebounds for Chris Boucher, 9 points. 5 and 0 assists. 5 assists for Gary Trent Jr., 2 rebounds, 25 points. But something to mention here is he's got 3 steals, which is a lot, and you got a lot of steals. And each steal is technically every steal you get creates a 4-point turnaround, right? Because you stop them from getting 2 points, and if you make 2 points, that's a 4-point swing, right? So every steal, 3 steals, and they make every single bucket, That's a 12-point swing. So that's very, every steal really counts. It counts more than blocks even. So, steals are more important than blocks for sure. Fred VanVleet got 9 assists, 4 rebounds. Rebounds are kind of low for Fred VanVleet. I usually see him get 5 or 6, but 4 is definitely good for him. So I'm not. He got 2 steals. That's great. 4 turnovers. That's a bit too high. We don't want him to getting 4 turnovers, but it's okay. That we can live with that too. And then our bench: Yuta Watanabe, Justin Champagnie, Spee, and Malachi Flynn. You can see they're all in the minus category. They weren't playing very well, right? They weren't playing really well. That's why Nick Nurse had to bench them, and ultimately we just had to rely on our starters. All right, so guys, well, this game was really fun to watch. As I said, it was a big roller coaster. We gave Fred VanVleet the last shot twice, and I just have something to say about that. Fred VanVleet, you have to use your shot clock correctly. Okay, you have to use your timing correctly, especially with that last shot. You don't have to wait till 3 seconds left to make your move. That's not a smart play at all. And you're quite intelligent as a player. Your mind moves quite quickly, so I clearly know that you can shoot, and you're intelligent and you're strong. These are your strengths. Your weaknesses is that you have no length, right? And you're not very quick or fast, right? So you're quite crafty, right? So for you to get a good shot off, you have to deke the guy, right? And normally when you drive, sometimes you pretend to drive in the paint, and then you cross over back, and then you'll pretend to drive again, or you might not pretend and make that mid-range, or sometimes you go in the paint because you've already deked the guy, and then you go in the paint. But in general, because you need a few dekes to get your shot off correctly, you need more time. So don't wait till the 3-second mark to make your shot. Okay, you've done that the last few games. I didn't say anything about it then. I'm going to say something now because I'm quite frustrated by it. You need to start making your move by the 6 to 8 second mark. Okay, do not wait till the 3-second mark. By the 3-second mark, you're way too predictable. It's too easy to guard you. You're not strong enough to make your. You're not quick enough to get your own shot off, and you're not tall enough to, just shoot over a guy. So you need more time to be more crafty to make a good shot. In general, Chris Boucher. Let's get into Chris Boucher. He's become a really pivotal offensive piece. What he does on the floor really helps us out in terms of spacing for the Raptors. He just goes straight into the paint, and we always look for him. And he actually got quite a good amount of touches in the paint, and he really could have finished. So Chris Boucher, I think for you to move up to the next level, and I think Chris Boucher has earned a spot in the Raptors lineup, just because he knows where to be, and he's quite a good rim protector, but he just doesn't have enough bulk. So when it comes to boxing out and getting rebounds, and he doesn't have that bulk. But he can learn that. And I think rebounding is something he can learn as well. So he needs to eat more. Okay, he just needs to eat more. He needs to get up to about 230 pounds, I'd say, at least. And then in general, he needs to finish better. He needs to know how to not just dunk the ball, but he needs to know how to maybe do a scoop in order to get the ball in, rather than just always a dunk or off his high reach off the backboard. He needs to find different ways to finish the ball in the paint. He can really become a paint presence like Shaquille O'Neal. He'll never get to that level of Shaquille O'Neal, but I'm just using him as an example, where he just lives and dies in the paint. Okay. What Chris Boucher does is he really helps us space the floor a bit better, and he loves the paint. So because I would say Chris Boucher is quite good off the ball, that he does deserve to be on the Raptors, and he should stay as one of our good benches, or he even in the starting lineup. Scotty Barnes, you are a MVP caliber player eventually. I think I can see you being there. Your biggest strength is how strong you are, and actually how you're quite fast too. That's not, that's quite surprising. You're quite fast and you're quite strong, but your skill set's not there yet. You're not skilled enough yet to be that MVP caliber. So you need to get a bit more skillful. You need to, keep the dribble a little bit lower. You need to not just when you do the post up. I realize that you're very comfortable going left into your fadeaway, but when we get into the playoffs and people know that you're only going left for your fadeaway, you're gonna need to learn how to go right. But this is a very MVP type of criticism, so I'm gonna give it to you. And just your shooting form needs to be more consistent. That's why sometimes I can see your 3-pointers just go air ball or they go in. That you need to work on your shooting form. But all in all, you played really well. Siakam, you played amazing this game. You played really well. You're a bit more passive this game, and that's kind of expected. Well, it's not expected, but it's great to see you more passive because in this game you had guys that could guard you, right? You had guys that were taller than you or more lengthy than you, or you had guys that were stronger than you, like Blake Griffin, right? Kevin Durant's more lengthy than you, and I don't know that guy's name, but he was a guy on Brooklyn Nets, quite tall, guarding Siakam. And he's more lengthy than you, and that's why you kind of took a step back, is what I think, at least. But you need to be a bit more aggressive in the fourth quarter. And I was quite happy with your play in general. And it was good to see that you knew that these guys were like a bit better in defenders, and you took that step back and gave it to other players. But because you're the number one guy, eventually you'll have to learn how to beat these guys. You will have to learn how to beat these guys if they're more lengthy or more powerful than you. So get into training. I think maybe playing one-on-one against Scotty Barnes or against Chris Boucher would definitely help you in that aspect. Watanabe, you need to shoot better. Because the way you play, you don't like to get into contact with the opposing team. You don't like to take the contact and then kind of do a scoop or do some sort of paint touch and get into the rim. You're not really that type of person. You really like to shoot the ball. If you go get a bucket, your first option is to shoot. So if you want to be that player, you better shoot the ball better. Back to Siakam, actually. He took 4 3-pointers. I don't really want to see him take 4 3-pointers. That's a bit too much. He's not that strong in the 3-point line. I think max is 3, and realistically, your average should be 2. If not 1.5 to 2. I wouldn't even say 2. So yeah, Siakam, I think you shouldn't be taking that many threes. Watanabe, you just need to shoot better. I think your defense was played pretty well. You played with really good energy, but you need to shoot better in order to earn a spot in the Raptors lineup. Malachi Flynn, not much to say, and the other guy, Champagny and Svi, there's not much to say there. Champagny, I know I said you earned more time, but in this game you really now you lost more time. Champagny, I didn't, now we really got to see how you play. You're not a shooter by any means. You're a guy who loves to live and die by the paint. You're basically like a Ben Simmons. But in this league right now, we need shooters. So if you want to earn a spot on the Raptors lineup, you're gonna have to shoot better. Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr. is one of those players that it gives us so much. It's great to see. He's got the most deflections, right? And he's got 3 steals. And then he got 20 something points. And he loves to shoot. So I think what he can improve on is looking out for the open players. I think I saw a few times where Boucher was open and he decided not, or not that he decided not to. I think he just didn't see that Boucher was open. His mindset was he's going to take the damn ball and shoot it. He can look out for his teammates a bit better in general. But yeah, Gary Trent Jr. He loves to shoot. I think the best option for our last shot should be either Gary Trent Jr. or Scotty Barnes. I really believe that those two, they really, really want the ball, and they're natural scorers. Like, they really want to take the ball and score the damn ball. Fred VanVleet, you're not really that natural at scoring. You kind of took the leadership role. You score because you have to score, because that's what the team needs you to do. But Gary Trent Jr. and Scotty Barnes are scoring because they want to score. They want to take the shot. And I think that we need somebody who wants to take that shot, take the last shot. So yeah, that's it for the players. The last thing I want to say is Nick Nurse. Your timeouts have really been iffy, and I really think you need to work on when to call a timeout, especially in the last few seconds when you decide not to call a timeout on the last 7 seconds, when that could really bring the ball up the court. You could drop a play. It's literally your last shot. It's your last shot to win the damn game. If you miss the game, you're going to overtime. So you have 7 seconds. You drop a play. You drop the best play there is for us to make a bucket. That's it. It's very simple, right? But no, you decide to let it in your hands of the players, right? And okay, if you do that, if you let it in your hands of the players, like I like that when maybe we stole the ball or maybe we blocked the ball, not when the opposing team just made a good bucket, right? Like, so I really think by not calling that timeout, that kind of, I wouldn't say cost us the win, but it was definitely a crucial play down the stretch. All in all, Raptors played pretty well. Raptors played really well. The main reasons why we lost, I was being very critical about each player, but the main reasons as a team why we lost is not boxing out as rebounds, and the bench. The bench just needs to score. They just need to be more productive. If we had Kem Birch or if we had OG Anunoby, I'm certain we would have won this game, because they have a bit more productivity off the bench. And it would be interesting to see what happens when we get our full lineup. Really, our bench is more third seed because we have some of our players injured, and they're supposed to be in only playing 25 minutes or 26 minutes. But now our third seed guys are we're relying on our third seed guys, so it's not that's not going to win us the game or anything like that. Well, if you guys like this, subscribe. And watch the next video. Take care.